tell us a little bit about David. What is the job that you're going for? What is the interview?
It's a UX UI designer for a cryptocurrency platform.
Oh, wow. Right up your alley.
That's interesting.
So, say more. You've got to reveal. Like, tell us how did the interview come about? Who are you meeting with? Tell us as much as you can about it.
I'm meeting with, or I got the interview because a recruiter reached out to me.
Wow.
I'm meeting with the HR person and 4 or 5 members of the team. They just said that they want to talk to me about my work experience, and they said that I have it written down. What I can do for the company and what they do. And they said that they're gonna have like exercises to kind of see how I design and how I work.
Okay. So, did you do a pre-interview with an HR person, or how did this work?
No, it's just the recruiter sent work samples, and then they scheduled an interview.
Interesting. So the recruiter sent your work samples to them?
Yeah.
Okay. And from those work samples, they reached out to schedule an interview.
Yeah.
And will that interview be live in their office, or will it be over Skype?
Oh no, it's in their office.
Okay. So now pose your question. What is your question?
They want to know about my experience working as a UX UI designer when technically I have no experience.
Well, then clearly there's only one thing you can do. You must lie. No,
Wow.
of course I'm joking, right? I mean, that is a joke.
What's the best way to lie, Lawrence?
Yeah, what's the best way to lie about this?
I believe it's called through your teeth. You lie through your teeth, I believe it's called. No, you guys. From my point of view, there's spinning the truth. There is putting your experience and your passion and abilities in a positive light, and then there's pushing it too far and lying. Kim, you have something to say.
Yep, because I had 3 interviews before, and I'm working now, and I'm actually working on a cryptocurrency project. So,
Oh, nice.
yeah. So I can share some of my experience with David, is it? Because I couldn't see his face.
Oh yes, it's David.
Yeah, David. Okay. So I was very honest with them. I told them upfront that I have no professional experience in UX or UI design. However, I did have 8 months intensive working on my UX project, which is the one from Career Foundry, and which is, we have tutor, we have our mentor, which is considered as our senior at work, which guiding us through our projects. So I just told them that to me that is my experience as a UX designer, and I walked through with them. Also mentioned my previous job experience. Yeah, that's what I told them. I didn't lie to them. I mean, honest with them is the best thing.
Right.
That sounds good.
I 100% agree. But now the real art, though, is in how do you formulate. Like, Kim, I'm going to ask you. Let me ask you a couple of questions. You were probably sort of nervous or not nervous?
I was interviewed for okay. Because when I was, a fresh grad for interior design, which is my previous job, I has went through a lot of interviews. So for this one, I'm not nervous at all.
Okay.
I wasn't. Yeah.
So I'm gonna extrapolate that your experience as a interior designer prepared you for this job interview, so you weren't nervous. David,
Yeah.
so again, here's the thing, you guys. There's not one magic answer for all of us. We're all in different places in our careers, and we all have different experience. So, David, how do you feel about, from the emotional level, from the nervous level, how do you feel?
I'm not that nervous. I just need to, I guess, make sure I know, or I need to review the UX UI design process. I think because they said that they're going to give me exercises, but I
Right.
guess speaking about myself would be no problem.
Okay. Now, do you
What is
know?
the
Go,
exercise? Is it a text? Sorry,
Right?
I'm just curious.
Kim, what did you say?
Oh, I'm just asking what exercise are they gonna give? Is it a test for how good you are as a UX UI designer, or
I have no idea. They just said, or the recruiter just told me that there's going to be tests.
oh yeah, right. Yeah,
Okay.
I got the same test too. Yeah, they do give me a test.
What was your
What
test?
sort of test?
A travel app. So they give me a brief, like a brief of the. They give me the background, what they expect me to do, which is produce a website and a mobile app. Also, they give me a brief of what kind of user gonna use it, which is the agency and the end user gonna use the app at the same time. So I have to design for both of them. So they gave me about 5 days to turn up the design from sitemap, user flows, low fee, high fee, and the final product, the prototypes.
So was
In
this
5 days?
was this something
5 days.
this was something
Jesus.
you were able to bring home though and work on? Is that right?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
David, do you know if that's the case with you? Are they going to do something live with you, or is it something you'll take home? Do you know?
I know. I'm pretty sure they said that it's going to be all conducted in the office.
Okay, that's possible too. I've been in interviews where they've asked questions that they expect you to answer right on the spot. So that's a little bit different. Now, obviously, they can't ask you questions that are super in depth, right? I mean, they're not going to have you develop any sort of prototypes, live while you're sitting there. So um, it's okay for you to ask questions about what to expect when you get there. In fact, I always find it incredibly valuable to know as much as I can about what is going to happen when I arrive in a situation. So it's okay for you to do follow-up questions if you have some and try and settle some of your thoughts about what to expect when you get there. You could ask questions like, can you give me an idea of the range of what this test will be covering? Hey, somebody's got some weird background noise going on. Do you hear that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry?
Not for me.
Maybe it's me, I don't know.
Yeah,
Sorry.
Kim. But there's somebody, it sounds like somebody's yelling intermittently in the background somewhere. If you, whoever's doing that, if you could identify that, maybe just mute for while that happens. So it's not bad for you to ask questions and ask as many detailed questions as you want. In fact, most people look at people asking questions as a sign of intelligence. A lot of us have fear of asking questions, but it's actually a very good thing. So try and get as much background. Try and even understand who's going to be in the room and what their role is. That's often good to know. And it's fine then to slip in the question, can you give me an idea of what I should expect with this test? Is there some way that I can prepare? The HR person is going to want to help you because the HR person generally wins when they create a successful hire. So the HR person is actually an ally to you in terms of asking questions. Now, it also depends whether this HR person is inside the company or third party as to what they'll know. If the HR person is inside the company, they might know more than if it's just a HR for hire type of person.
I think it's someone that's in the company, but yes, I'm not exactly sure.
Okay. But consider that, because it's just something interesting to think about. Is that an HR person's success is that the company hires the person they bring. So they're actually an ally to you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, does that help? I mean, is that settling your situation? When is the interview? What day?
Tomorrow.
Oh, okay.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Yeah.
Luck to you.
Now we all need to know. You're going to have to definitely go to the group chat and let us know how it turns out. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Any other news?
Yes, that did help.
Any other news from anyone? Okay. Did Bambang disappear?
Yeah.
Did he really?
What happened to him?
I don't know. Bambang.
Maybe while waiting for him, I would like to share some of my work experience for the past 2 weeks.
You started a job.
Good.
Yeah.
Well, that's big news.
Yeah, you've joined. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I have because I'm working for an creative agency. So I'm working for this cryptocurrency project. And it's something similar to Bittrex or Binance, all those cryptocurrency websites. They have their in-house developer team. So when I turned out my designs to them last week, and I just got it back today, and I was in shock because it totally doesn't look like what I had said at all. They didn't pay attention to like font weight, font size, the colors, the composition, the proportion, the shadows, everything. It's just a nightmare, and
Oh my goodness.
So yeah, I think that happens too when you don't work hand in hand with a dev team. Like you don't have an in-house dev team, and people working in different places and don't have a meeting often. Yeah, and they're rushing for deadline. That could be what happens. Yeah, it's
So,
scary.
yeah, Lee, go ahead.
Yeah. Yes.
Kim, yeah, what is your approach since you work with your web development team and what you get from them is a mess? And then do you think that in future, what sort of strategy or what sort of management that you will do so that when you deliver a UX or a portfolio to them or the app to them, that's what you want, and so that they can deliver the same things to you, or what is expected from you as well. Do you have come up any strategy or plan, and how do you manage them on how do you work with them afterwards?
Okay, I just got it today, so I can't come up with. Haven't tested a plan yet, but I do have a plan in mind.
Okay.
First of all, I actually work on Figma. Do any of you know Figma?
Yeah, I'm using that. Yeah.
Okay,
I love it.
So
Yeah.
Figma has you can share with anyone. They can see your email. You can work live together like Google Doc, and if you click on any elements, they will generate the code on the left side, on the right side. So there's no excuse for a developer who got it wrong. So it's quality control from the dev team, and they give an excuse of they are rushing for deadline. Everyone is rushing for deadline. That's no excuse. Yeah. So yeah, their QA, their in-house QA must do a good job, because I got feedback from them. They saying their QA only check whether it's work, but she didn't check whether it's is correct as per my design. So she did not check for design. She only checked that the function is functioning. It's work. So that's the problem. If QA doesn't do their job properly, that's what you get. And Another thing I could think of is you can ask them for a test screen earlier, not at the end of the develop. Not when the deadline is coming.
Approaching.
The deadline is like two days later.
2 days.
So
Wow.
they just start
That's
sending
quite tough.
me
That's
like
crazy.
have asked them early for a sample of it, so I could feedback way earlier, and I could ask them, because I did not know that they didn't pay attention to all those little details that could change the whole look and feel of the design. So if we could tell them earlier, they will pay more attention to it, then it could save, you could save like a lot of work.
Can I ask? Actually, do you think that bringing a developer into your UX design will help as well?
Okay, my office does have an in-house dev team, but because they are doing cryptocurrency website, so it's very complicated and it needs to be private and everything. So
Or
we have to use theirs. Yeah, we have to use theirs.
oh,
I do come in like every 3 days to their office to discuss the design, but I forgot to ask them to show me what they have done. I only show them what I got, which is also a part. I could have asked them to show me what they have done. So I could, because we are the designer, we know our design very well, just like our kids. So at a first glance, whether it's wrong or right.
So Kim, let me ask
Yeah.
you. Let me ask you this. So
Yes.
you were acting as the UX designer and the UI designer, or the UI designer?
I did both UX and UI for this project.
Okay, very interesting. And this is such a. I mean, I don't know that this interests everybody, but this is a very common problem. How do we go through a complex process and keep the integrity of the project? And by and large, this is about management of the project. So it depends on the scale. So again, I'm sorry for saying it depends, but it does depend. It depends on the scale of the project, how many people are touching it, whether the dev team is internal or external, that's huge. Whether you have somebody who has foresight of the entire process. So that was kind of my role largely in much of my career, was to have that foresight over the entire project. So I would be able to work with the UX, the UI, and the developers to make sure, and this was from a strategic creative point of view, to make sure that we are building the right thing, because at any given juncture, this thing can move. I mean, it can go off the rails. So it is an important issue, and it's very difficult. I know we've all individually with you guys, I've talked a lot about why, if we have a process, does UX fail. This is one of the biggest ones, that you have so many people touching it that at any given juncture it can go off rails if you don't have the proper oversight. And many companies don't. It's one of the hardest things to do when we have a lot of different people, all with strong egos and strong opinions, contributing. Everybody's kind of tugging it in a slightly different direction. So, Kim, talk a little bit more, and we have to get Bambang. We're about to come up to you. So, but talk a little bit more about where did it go off? Like, when you say it just didn't look anything. I mean,
Can I share my screen?
yeah, go ahead, share your screen. I sort of
Not
think.
only the UI, but also the UX. Like, copies is part of UX, and they even change the copies.
Yeah. Hey, you guys, let's try something here. When Kim is sharing screen and when Bambang is sharing screen, let's kill our cameras. See if that helps our bandwidth. Just keep audio, but kill camera.
Yeah,
Okay.
sure.
Okay.
Okay, so is everyone can see my screen now?
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
this is how I work as UX designer with a remote team. I use Figma, and this is where I discuss this feature, which is P2P exchange. And this is a user flow that I created for them, and they just need to put C, which is command. So this is where we discuss and change. This is one of the features. So this is the UX part.
Hey, Kim.
For the UI,
Kim.
yes.
Time out
Yes.
for 1 second. You've been working at this place for 2 weeks, and they threw you into this?
Yes.
Oh my gosh,
From scratch?
That's crazy.
that is amazing.
Wow.
Wow.
You work really hard.
Yeah. This is the cryptocurrency site that I have been working on.
Yeah, this is the UI of the website, right?
Yeah. So I did the UX, and then we moved to UI. I can show you one example of how where it has gone wrong. Okay. Where's my laptop? Oh, anyway, I want to share this. You can use this browser, which is Bliss.
Not
Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the same time, you can see both how it look like on on mobile and how it look like on desktop.
Mm.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And you can choose a device here. So you don't have have your phone on at the same time.
Is
Just use it.
is this Blisk a standalone application, or is this a Chrome plugin?
It's standalone application. It's a
Okay.
standalone browser. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. And back. Go to lock it. Sorry. For example, this one. And what they gave me is
So this is your design we're looking at.
yes, and I'm showing you their design. Oh, this is pixelated photo.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they totally forgot the shadows. All text is the same colors. They even changed the copies. Open new. What does it mean by open new?
Oh, that's not clear enough, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, and the colors, everything changed. Even composition. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Wow.
And the hierarchy is totally right, I think.
Yeah.
Wow.
Their boss wanted this because
Very different.
they wanted to stand out. Like they don't want to use the common copies, but hello, this has been it's become a common thing now. You don't change it. Open new.
Yeah.
It was a decision made by the bosses, right?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
That's one of the examples. Yeah.
So
Oh wow.
so that's pretty amazing, and that's just the beginning. That's the first screen. So
Oh my god.
I know that go in deeper.
so in reality, you guys, it comes down to this sort of everybody in the company is a UX designer. It's one of the
I think it's one of the common problems.
Yeah, it's definitely a common problem. It's one of the downsides of UX design because UX design is so much based on this idea of common sense, the don't make me think book of common sense.
Yes.
Everybody feels they have it. So that's why when I say to you guys that half of what we do is problem solve and half of what we do is defend our ideas, it's because of situations like this. You'll find yourself in on a very regular basis that you need to come back and say, but wait a minute, you guys, this is what we were going to do and here's why. Because they're going to be like, well, what difference does it make? It doesn't make any, and you've got to be able to say, yeah, it kind of does make a difference and here's why.
Can we have a look at the original of Kim's design just one more time?
Okay. Here
And the real one.
I have shadow and everything.
Wow, that's
Just
crazy.
black. And it's just
That's actually
Too much
nuts.
change.
Wow.
it's
Logo
okay.
at
Don't
the
talk about
top.
It's all in the
finished.
past.
So, Kim, what are you going to do?
Okay. Like I told Lee just now, I asked them to keep track of their QA, ask their QA to do the job, which is not only checking whether it's functional, but also check is the design must be the same or at least similar
Yeah,
to
right.
whatever I gave them. And I also have a private chat with the front end guy and help him solve, whatever problems that he came up with.
Is
Yeah.
is the team cohesive? Is it a good group? Do you guys work together, communicate well together?
Yeah, we do communicate well together. Just that they how to say, they thought that they could change my design without affecting it, but because they are developer, they has no the aesthetic eye, so they when they change it, they couldn't tell that it looked good or not. They
Right.
just change it.
Right.
Yeah.
So let me ask you this.
Can I ask? Oh, sorry.
Well, let me just ask this: is there a project manager involved in this process?
Yes, they have. And let me show you this. Look at this screen. Oh my God, I haven't typed anything. It's
True.
What is
Okay.
Holy
Let me
snap.
wait. Let me comment on this.
I don't really want
Let
to
me-
say this, but
Oh,
it's
wow.
what do I say?
Wait. I have to comment on this. Now, guys, you've heard me say that engineers can't design. This is why. Because engineers are going to present all of the different potential options, and that's not what UX is about. UX and UI design is about presenting the necessary information.
Yes.
All right, this is very bizarre.
Yeah, I asked them, do you need password strength? They say, we got it covered, don't worry. And this is what they gave me.
Hey Kim, I just want to ask you a question. Are you like blaming everyone? I mean, are you getting angry at everyone that they're hating on you? Because there's quite a few stuff now that you're like noticing, and they're probably like, yeah, it's okay, it's okay.
Things I must contain. Yeah.
I don't.
Okay, I think let's go back to Bambang. I think it's more interesting than this.
Yeah, well, I don't,
Appreciate it.
Bambang. I don't think Bambang. I just want to say one thing about it. I think it's not about getting angry at people. It's about having the ability to get the project back on the rails or back on track. I call what's happening with Kim's project, it's gone off the rails, if that makes sense to you as an expression. And projects constantly go off the rails. And if nobody's there to make sure it stays, someone has to have the specific job and the mandate to make sure the project's done well, or all of these individual contributors are going to make a mishmash, which is what's happening with Kim's project. You have like 5 individual contributors all doing what they think. And you guys, you've all heard me say, if you stick 10 people in a room and give them $5 million and say, make a movie, Kim's project is what will come out of that kind of a process. There has to be someone there to direct the situation, and they have to have the mandate. So they have to have the power to make sure the project stays on track. And that can fall in the hands of the UX or UI designer, but it's more than that. It's you guys have to be able to show and prove. And not to mention that the value you will add by being able to keep a project on the rails is immense. So to bring it in and execute well. Because, I mean, I guess I've said enough, but you've got like 5 different people all pulling it in their own direction. And this is what happens. Bambang, let's take a look at your portfolio. Go ahead.
I just want to ask Kim a question.
Yep.
Are you the only junior UX designer, or is there people like you as well in your team?
I'm the UX and UI designer of this project. Like, I'm the only one that working on it.
What?
Oh, you're the okay.
What about the rest of the
I
staff?
thought you were in a team of UX designers.
What again?
What about
Sorry, you first, Lawrence.
What about the rest of your
who
staff? Who else is on your staff in terms of the agency? What's your UX team like?
Okay, my UX team, we have three UX designer and 2 UI designer. So the 2 UI designer will do mostly graphic work like branding, logos, brochure, which is not anything related to web or app at all.
Right.
And each UX designer will take one project and work on it. Mostly, my boss said 2 or 3 projects, but because mine is involved web as well, so you can see I have web app here.
Yeah.
So mine is like very complicated because it is also mobile. I have web app, I have desktop, and it's cryptocurrency site, so it's quite complicated. So and so I'm lucky I only have one project on hand. Yeah.
Yeah, but they certainly
Which
did. They dropped you into the deep end, that's for sure. And are you doing this for a client, or is this an internal project?
Yeah, this for a client.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh.
Yeah, CryptoNo is a client.
Wow.
Yeah. So the pressure of delivering is also coming into play here too. There was the account person. The company promised to meet deadlines.
Yes.
And
They have.
that becomes really, really important actually in an agency environment, because you can be held accountable for missing revenue if you don't deliver on time.
Yeah, they're launching on 1st of May. That is why.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
True.
So I have a question. I noticed that the logo and the branding is different. They didn't even.
No, it's horrible. Don't talk about the logos.
I find fascinating that.
Pulling the tissue paper.
Oh my goodness. I find fascinating that they didn't even pay attention to that, which is something really important, I would say.
Yeah, we did propose few other logo design because it looked horrible, but the boss said this contain too many meanings. This has a K for CryptoNo. This has an I for information. The I also look like a human, and the human is using a laptop, which is technology.
Oh.
He said you can't find any logo that has so much meaning in it.
So do the client like it?
Okay, guys, let's this is really great. Thank you, Kim. This is really cool to see.
Right.
Doreen is coming on now. That's great. Bambang, so Kim, will you shut off your screen share, and Bambang,
Okay.
you move to screen share, and let's walk us through your portfolio. Welcome to the industry, Kim. I believe
it's so interesting that.
I believe it's called
it's so interesting when-
baptism by fire, I believe is the expression.
Yeah.
Blend them into your will. Okay. So this is my portfolio. It's not as good as Kim's. I'm still working on it.
Hey! No apologies.
I got a lot. Not apologies on it, but yeah. So the first thing that I thought of when I was creating the homepage, you would say, is like they want to know who you are and what are your skills straight away. So that's what I put in my first points, my first screen. Sorry, and I try to keep it as simple as possible and just I try to make it like a clean theme. But hopefully, like any feedback you guys could give, like while I'm going through this, it will be greatly appreciated. So it went straight. So you just scroll down and you go straight to the projects, list of projects, which I only got one at the moment. So if I was to click on that.
Nice.
So first thing is they want to know what's the project about, and I talk about what's the main reason why the app came about and what problem I'm trying to solve. So yeah, I remember like when Lawrence was talking to me, like how you got to tell it like a story, and then from then on it's like so the whole thing when I'm trying to get create this portfolio, when I was trying to create the story, I put a lot of text in the first place, but at the moment now I'm trying to make the animations and the pictures tell the stories on its own. So I try to make the animations go in a flow, so that way it leads up into like an arrow, you would say. So it goes from that picture to this picture to this picture, so they know there's a flow. It's like a story, so it'll just be a consistent flow. So that's what I've been trying to do. So again, defining the problem. That's the first step on trying to solve the problem will be defining the problem first, finding out what's the problem. I showed.
You might want
Yeah.
to capitalize your Google.
Sorry.
Oh, it's just a small thing. Just putting a
What was
capital
it?
on the Google. So
This?
no, in the text when it
Google
says,
in general.
firstly gathered all the data, when you put Google in the brackets.
Okay.
Sorry, just a small thing.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I tried to show how I did it. Affinity maps was how I sorted it out. Next one was how I solved the problem. So once I got all the problems listed down through user research, and pretty much just sorting it out, I listed down how I solved the problem. So it was through user personas, mental models, and user journeys. I showed them to these mockups. And if I was to keep going, user flow. So once you have a way to solve these problems, I try to show them that the best way after this is user flows, creating the user how the app is going to come around to solve these problems. Keep going from there, and again these animations just try to create a story out of it. I showed my low fidelity and my mid fidelity because I think it's quite important to see for them to see the progression rather than just showing the end result. You'd say.
Yeah.
So I reckon that was pretty important in the outcome of as a UX designer. I think for UI designers in general, they'll just show the end results. I'm guessing. I'm not too sure. Lawrence could, I guess, elaborate on this. And then this comes to the high end.
Ooh, cool.
That's really cool. Yeah.
Next came the user testing. It showed how my screens came about and how I fixed on them. So first thing is I showed them A/B testing was one of the ways I did for user testing, and then the report. So the conclusion at the end of it. I think it would be good for recruiters to see how I came around, how I concluded different findings in the user tests. Then came around my recommendations, how I recommended them, and then how I justified various features or various various features and design aspects, I would say. Yeah. And then I showed my tools used so they could know where do I have experience in, for example, Adobe XD, had experience in Sketch.
That's a nice touch.
And thanks. And thanks for reading.
Yeah.
And
Nice.
After the top.
Yeah, this is amazing. To show the project without too many texts. Yeah.
So Bambang,
Because,
what happens when you click on portfolio?
There's only one at the moment, but that's about it. Click on
Oh,
that.
that's cool.
Oh, I see. So
Comes back.
it's this page. Okay. In those lower images
Yeah.
on your portfolio page, do you plan to put in copy? Do you plan to put in text? The ones where there was just a headline?
This one?
Scroll down again. Yeah, go into the discuss.
Oh, are you to?
Go into discuss.
Okay. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
right towards the end.
Yeah, so if you scroll down all the way, you get to a place go down to your user flows and stuff. Go up now,
Okay.
up higher. So a lot of these, you just have headlines with no text. Do you plan to add text? Are you going to explain A/B testing or not?
I was hoping not because I was hoping no at the moment. Is there any reason why? Because I was trying to make them just look at the pictures.
What do you guys think? Any feedback on this? Should there be copy in here, or should it just be headlines?
I think because UX design is about process, so writing is very important. Because if I read it, for this A/B testing, right? I read it, okay, I could understand, but I would like to know more about how you go about it and why you did this A/B testing. And
Okay.
I think by
Yeah,
having
why I did it. Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So Kim, write just on the fly here, not to put you on the spot, but what would you say under A/B testing here if you were Bambang? What would you say?
he was the one who did it. He should answer this question.
I think yeah, no, but like
but
for A/B
it's
testing, I think
kind
yeah, I get your point.
it's kind of the same for everybody. Like what most likely here's the issue. Most likely anybody looking at this knows what A/B testing is. So the real question is, what do you say to make it more relevant? What kind of information would you put in here to make it more relevant? You don't want to explain A/B testing. You might want to say particular facts like, I conducted A/B testing on the screens for Discuss. I used 20 participants or whatever. You might want to tell a little white lie there, maybe say 30 or something. And these are the results, or something like that. I'm not sure exactly, but you don't want to talk about A/B testing. You want to talk about the specifics of this particular project.
Yeah, probably the findings and how it helped you, or how it informed your design.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, good point.
Yeah.
I'll write that down.
And also maybe the other option, like I don't know how many options that you test to, right? So I would like to know the other option as well. First, looking at it, I don't know what is the thing that you tested.
Yeah.
This
good point.
Yeah.
Wow, what might be
Okay.
interesting is to do a live A/B test with your current people looking at it. Just say, what do you prefer? Let them click on one of two buttons.
True.
And
True.
record that, and it'll have it tally up.
Yeah, it's like a poll.
Yeah.
Like,
interesting.
Yeah, I'll definitely do that. I think there's a few other ones where I didn't really explain it. For the midfielders, do we have to explain it as well, or?
Well, again, it's not. Don't pretend that you're telling anybody about low fidelity, mid fidelity. Talk about how it affects your solution. How this affected your solution.
Yeah, it's just because I did describe it. Like I had a whole so I think I could show it. Yeah, it's pretty much all these texts. Right. For these sections, you would say. But then it was just way too many texts, and I was like, I need to cut down heaps. So that's why I started to try to make a story out of pictures instead of text.
Yeah.
But I think I'll have to discuss it with them.
Yeah, actually, I remember Kim website. Actually, you can go into maybe put a button in if you want to explain more. Actually.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
You know what I mean? Actually, is maybe you doesn't need to show a huge text in that portfolio, but what you can do is maybe put a few words. Okay, if you want to read more or learn more, basically you can put a button. Then that's a full context.
Yeah.
That's yeah. I'll keep that in mind. Yeah. Thank you. Thanks a lot.
So Bambang, what happens when you click on the chat button in the lower right hand corner?
Yeah.
So it's supposed to text me, but I haven't got to how it's supposed to work. So you're supposed to type in whatever, and then send it to me, and it'll come into my it'll come into my my message, my email. But I don't know if it's supposed to work. So it's in one of the Wix features that they give you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you just apply it in, but I haven't tested
I think
it
you
out
need
myself.
to. I think you have to publish it online first. So because
yeah, the website is published, but
okay.
Can you send us a link to the website?
Yeah, it's on Skype. I'll send it again.
Sorry. I'll take a look.
So
I'll send that again.
What can we do about getting rid of all the Wix branding? And David, I know I talked to you about this.
I think you have to buy the
right.
You have to buy it actually.
About $5 a month, I think.
Does it show on your computers as well? The site. This site
actually,
was designed with.
To be honest, once you buy once you pay for the subscription, actually, you will get rid of all the Wix logo.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah,
so
that's
it's-
what.
We have to pay
So
them.
do you have a paid subscription, Bambang, or?
Yes, actually, you have to pay it yearly. Actually,
Yeah, for me, I pay.
Yes, at the moment, I'm not to make this. I didn't pay anything.
Yeah,
So
so
I'm
I think
pretty sure
the chat
yeah.
will work. The chat will work when you have the premium subscription, and then you
Okay.
can go and configure. Yeah, most of the plugins will work like that.
yeah.
Sometimes
And then,
I have a comment for the user flow. Can you go to the user flow? Yeah. Can you make the photo? When I click onto it, it will blow up
Expand.
bigger.
Yeah.
Yeah, because right now I can't read the text.
Yeah,
And-
that's true.
yeah.
Awesome. All right. Was there anything else that you guys noticed along the way? Because I haven't did much user tests on this lately.
The animation is so cool.
Yeah, I like the mock-up images.
Mm.
The high fidelity prototypes. The S go. Yeah. Oh,
Yeah, that's
for
one.
my screen, the S actually go one more line downward. I think it's due to screen size difference.
Oh, okay.
Because Wix is not responsive.
Right. I thought, I realized that because when I get to 80%, it's a lot bigger and it doesn't respond. I get it's not responsive. So I just stuck to 100%. But yeah.
Yep.
Bambang,
That's about me. That's about it.
I have
Sorry?
I have some really specific critique of what you've done with some of these images. Like an example would be the screen we're looking at right now. Do you see how the corners of the shadows are being cropped off on each one of your images?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
So
Yeah, I've realized that.
Yeah, you've got a number of images. Like even scroll up further. I noticed it in a couple of places. And this is where go up further. Go all the way to the top.
I think there's some at the
That
first
one there,
where it's cut off.
that gets cropped too. And then also notice the background color of your Photoshop image is different than the background white of the Wix of the website background. So pay attention to that kind of stuff because this is where design is in the details comes into play.
Yep.
I know it seems really minor, and I guess it is really minor, but this is the difference between
Good UX designer.
yeah. I mean, this is really going to just up the sense of the, in almost a way, what I like to think about is that the things that actually make a design uncomfortable, people don't consciously see. I mean, that isn't true in like really bad design, but in good design, it's the things that you don't actually register and see that kind of give you a sense of discomfort. And it's these kinds of like croppings and clippings that can contribute to that. The other thing is, as you build your drop shadows, my art direction aesthetically, you're a little heavy-handed on them. They're a little too dark. Like, don't make this
On the shadow.
the drop shadows. Don't make these images about the drop shadows. Pull back on those a little bit, and also make sure they're all responding the same way, so it looks as though the light is coming from the same direction.
Okay.
And you notice like your discuss phone on the top of this pile. I can't really see its drop shadow, but I think it's throwing a shadow either improperly or there isn't what. So just make this more realistic. Make the shadows all work the same, but don't make it about the shadow. Those shadows could be 20%. Not whatever it is, 30 or 40%. Just make them, but make them consistent.
A little lighter, yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha, yeah. You said that you had a few. Was there more?
No, I just saw a bunch of images that had these kind of odd feeling crops and then the use of the shadows.
Okay.
I have another comment on your fonts. Okay, if you see your titles, right? Can you just scroll down? So yeah, to how we are solving the problems. Okay.
Bigger.
Up a bit. Oh, even here is fine. So you see your affinity mapping, which is the caption of the photo, is the same size as how we are solving the problem, which is the title. So as
Okay.
you
Yeah.
scroll, right, everything, I can't tell which is the title and which is the caption, especially
Yeah.
at mental models and user journey and user flow. More, yeah.
I
This
see.
part.
Yeah. Yeah.
User flow will under mental models. Yeah, up a bit. You can see that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm,
Okay.
okay.
Thanks a lot. Thanks, heaps. Because I think I just overlooked them, but I didn't really focus on the details. But those type of things are the ones that makes the difference. When you actually like, it's rather than seeing, it's more like feeling uneasy or satisfied with the whole experience, I guess.
Yeah, with Wix, if you can, you have your text style, and if you can follow, your H1, H2, follow
Yeah.
the text hierarchy there, that will be good. I'm not sure how it's going to be represented. The feedback I wanted to give you is so I'm looking at the user flows section,
Yeah.
and the diagrams, this animation pops like I don't know the name of the animation, but it's like pop, pop, pop.
Yeah.
I will review that one because maybe you don't need it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe because the other animations that you have is quite subtle. It's like they
It's not in your face type thing.
Yeah, so you have these ones that are very nice, very gentle, but
Yeah.
the three other animations are like pop, 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 like they don't
Okay.
match.
I see it. Yep. Okay. Thank you. Was there anything else, guys?
Bambang, what happens? Let me go back up to your global navigation. So when you click about, let's see what we see.
I haven't finished it yet.
There's the man.
There's the man, so.
And scroll down. Let's see what we got. Okay, so you have Behance, Facebook, and LinkedIn. Cool.
LinkedIn.
And then view resume. Is that an overlay, or do you go to a new page? What do you do there?
It goes to the PDF of my resume.
Okay.
Which I haven't touched in a while.
Cool.
That's
though.
cool.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you should be proud. You've come a long way, Bambang. This is great. Does your logo in the upper left-hand corner bring you home?
I don't know how to get to the, because it's supposed to be a part of the navigation thing, but I couldn't find the link because if I show it on the Wix editor thing, so this is in the way. So usually when I click on it, it says link. Like for example, these ones, or for example these buttons, it says linked here.
Oh.
Whereas if I click on this, there's no link. So
I can show you how to do it. Just add a button and change the button to transparent, so it will work.
Yeah. Okay. I can follow the logic with that. Yeah. I'll definitely change.
Cool.
I'll try that out.
Really cool.
Yeah,
Pretty
it
cool.
will work.
That would be good. And then what about Hire Me? What are you going to do with Hire Me?
It's gonna be straight to my message thing. So it'll be something like saying that it's like a template message box.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, man. Thank you.
That's about it for my portfolio.
That's good. It's
sorry,
really
I'll just quickly add one
Thanks.
more thing. Sorry.
If
That's okay. After I think someone mentioned the popping animation, I actually went back, I refreshed the your page, and I scrolled down again slowly, and I realized I think it's the third user flow, the one chatting with the experts, actually doesn't have any animation on it. I don't know if it's just my one.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I think it's just my one just then. Could be, yeah.
Yeah, I think like what Lawrence mentioned before is like because this is actually something quite important. As I think the user flow is like make it about the user flow rather than the shadows or the animation.
Yeah. For the shadows. Yeah.
Yeah, so that was just a small inconsistency I just picked up.
Yeah.
Definitely need those type of feedbacks.
Design is in the details. Design is in the details. Bambang, this is looking great though. It's coming. Are you taking
Yep.
Are you taking the job placement? Are they working with you?
I haven't picked it yet, but definitely after tonight, I will definitely pick it.
Okay, because I'm
What's the shop? What is the shop placement, if I can ask?
It's this one. I'll show you guys. I think it's after you finish the UX immersion.
Yeah.
Because that's when it came out. It's a job preparation course.
Oh, right. Yeah.
That's pretty much it. I just want to say thank you guys for the feedback today. It's like sometimes because you tend to work on it so much that you tend to overlook it, and those type of feedbacks really help. Thanks a lot, guys.
It's really
Thanks for sharing.
yeah.
For
Thank you.
sharing.
For sharing.
It's kind of an important skill, you guys, to what Bambang just said, to be able to come to your work and look at it fresh every day. It's something we need to work on because it is hard. You get so wrapped up in it that you often don't have the distance from the work to actually critique it yourself. It's very interesting.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, well, I think we're going to wind up another fantastic session here.